Once again, we are back. And I'm sure that you guys are ready and you are just itching to listen to more news, right? What is the funniest thing that most South African people don't take into mind, especially when it comes to small businesses? In fact, let me rephrase it like this. What's every small business owner's frustrating points? Especially in South Africa. I'll tell you. First is the red tape, right? Where the red tape issue, let me break it down for those who don't know what I'm talking about. I'm basically talking about entry barriers. And this has been discussed for such a long time, I take it. Access to markets. And the reason why these big players, they still block us, is because they do not understand the fact that you need to share. It's like at school. You know, with the feeding scheme, there was a time in my life, right, where like there would be a lot of kids all in one queue and they will all fight for the food, right? Even though there was enough food, but they will fight, like literally fight to go and get more food, which frustrated the caretaker, or in this case, the catering company that was part of the feeding scheme. But that's because people came, when you come from a primitive mindset, I don't mean to sound degradative, or whichever the word that is, but I don't mean to sound like I'm degrading our people, which I'm not. Hear me out. But what I'm saying to you is, the way people have been, or in this case, the way this thing has kind of affected all of us, it has made us become so psychotic to the idea of wanting to actually serve a market. So it has been a difficult road for small businesses to actually enter into the market and actually serve. Now, these big players, they've got this idea whereby they will just threaten you. Whenever you price your own product or your service, these big players, they'll tell you, no, if you overprice yourself, this is what's going to happen. It's like they deliberately sabotage you. Then they tell you that, hey man, if you're going to continue with this thing that we already planned for you, you are going to be out of the market. Of which, when you look at it, you're like, but guys, what is it that you guys want me to do? Really? Like, even though when you price it according to the market, the biggest question that we've always tend to overlook is, what price should the market be able to afford your price? Your products in. Because if you think about it, right, I'm going to get all philosophical. If you think about it in a deeper sense, why are we fighting for our own existence? Whereas we should be able to collaborate and help each other grow. Right? So basically, I've been wanting to say this for years, believe me or not. And I'm also like in a position where I'm kind of caught up between two things. Do I now fight to get into the market, or do I now decide to go and move. Which brings me to the next point. We all cannot be suffering to have access to the market, because it creates a backlog of other people who want to enter into the market. So it's like, in a way, I remember this with me, right? When I was applying for funding, I'm not going to say with who, but they know themselves. I was applying for funding 3 or 4 years ago. And every time I would go back to these guys, these are the same guys who would tell me, no, they're suffering from a backlog. Right? And I'd ask myself, but which backlog have you been suffering from for decades? Like, every time we come, first of all, you want small businesses, which are youth orientated, to come and seek funding from you. Then you inconvenience us with the backlog situation. Now it makes you want to go, it makes you think like, but what are you there for? If you're going to talk about backlogs that happened 3 or 4 years ago, I was not part of it. But it also indicates the fact that the system, the South African system, needs a lot of upgrading, guys. A whole lot of upgrading. Because first of all, it frustrates small businesses who are seeking for funding to go through a queue, right? I was going to say a line. To go through a queue. And then after going through that queue, you discover later on, like, guys, so there's another backlog. Now I must go back and come back next week, and you're still going to tell me about the other. So it tells me that you haven't solved the backlog issue. Going back to access of marketing. Or should I say, access to markets. Until we solve this access of market issue, we are still going to fight with these big companies. That explains why a company that has been existing for 40 years, yet they still do not understand the fact that there are startups that need the same room as they had. You can't be hoarding the market for 40 years to yourself. Now when the startup comes up, now you want to go and tell the startup company, no, you can't compete. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And it frustrates all of us at the end of the day. All I'm saying to you is, let the markets become an open play field for all businesses. All big businesses need to understand one thing. You may have been there for 40 years, but guess what? Things are changing. And if you are not willing to collaborate, you're going down. Look at Ellerines. Look at Joshua Doe. Look at all these companies that have been disrupted already. It's because they came with the mindset of, we are here, we are holding the market. Instead of, guys, we are here, we've been here for 40 years, but we still don't know how to do this thing. How do you guys do it? You learn from startups, you build each other's businesses, and then you create a collaborative market share. There's no use in competing now. It's 2020. Especially with the Internet of Things that's already here. There's no use. The only thing you need to do is you just need to collaborate. Simple. I'm currently reading a book called The Art of Selling to the Affluent Market. And I'm working on shifting my way of thinking to the affluent clients. Because guess what? That's another market that a lot of people are sleeping on. But I understand, because the affluent people are by far the most well-informed market. It's like you can't cheat those guys. If you're selling chips at 10 Rand 50 and they discover that you are selling chips at 13 Rand 50, okay, though it's a 3 Rand difference, but they're still going to find out, Baba, so how did you get there? Those are the types of people, because they pretty much go to the nitty-gritty. And so they don't need someone who's just going to become like a huge hassle to them. They need someone who's going to offload. Offload. Become their best buddy if you have to. But either ways, sell concepts to them. Don't sell products to them. I remember when I met a millionaire once. It was in Kempton Park. And the funny thing is, I was about to go and buy equipment from him when suddenly I walked into his house and I discovered that this guy, he saw that, no man, this guy wants to be part of the affluent market like us. But he didn't say it like that, obviously. But he did say it. And that got me thinking. If an affluent person is allowing you to come into his house, basically this is the guy that says to you, man, come, let's do business. As long as you're not gonna be a shyster, let's do business and let's work together. We need such people. We need such mindsets. Even if you're an established business owner, it is always good to collaborate with a startup. It is always good to offload and grow that person to be the person that they want to be. But you see, the issue here is everybody wants to hoard the market, which kind of kills everything. But the good thing about the market is people are not things to control, guys. True story. I hope that I've decided to drop some gems today. I felt of doing this podcast because there's a lot of things that I want to be said. And I know a lot of people might hate the idea, but I'm not your market, guys. But if you're if you're a business owner and wants to grow your business, then I'm your market. But if you are in the situation whereby you are going to go against the wave, and you think that you're going to go through the wave by yourself, good luck. This issue of access to markets, guys, is very important that we need to address it, and it needs to be dealt with. And the government needs to stop putting too much red tape on this thing. Episode 2.